What's up, guys? It's Dubzz, and I'm back. I want to make a video. I want to do a couple, probably maybe 3 or 4, talking about my favorite movie from a certain genre. Depending on which video I'm doing. This one's gonna be horror, and it's not necessarily a certain type of horror. Because there's paranormal, slasher, like zombie movies, monster movies, ghost movies, serial killer movies. Those are all technically horror movies, and I'm trying to keep off thrillers, because I want to make a separate one just for thrillers. Like I had Alien on here, but I feel like Alien would be more of a thriller, or maybe even a sci-fi, because I want to do a sci-fi one. That one's gonna be hard. Same thing with what else did I have on here? I Am Legend. That was gonna be on here, but I think I'm gonna put that in thrillers, because it's a really thrilling movie. But so I don't really have it's not a list. It's not like descending from good to bad or bad to good. It's just I just sat down and started writing them out, off the top of my head, and I eventually got up to look at my collection and point out ones that I like. I'm sure I'm missing, a few, but these are all ones that stood out in my mind, so they have to be good to me. So first, I wanted to start off with a couple movies that have sequels to them, and you have to watch all of them. Like you can't just watch the first one and be satisfied. You need to watch them all. And the first one for me is Conjuring. Like, when I watched Conjuring 1, it's an amazing movie. I remember when that movie came out, it was so good. Such a refreshing, take on the horror, like on the paranormal genre. They did a lot of stuff that we've seen before, but they did it so good. I love that movie. I watch it all the time. And when the second one came out, somehow it was, I don't want to say scarier or better, but it was different in a good way. But I really enjoyed that one also. So the Conjuring movies 1 and 2, and I can't wait. I'm not including Annabelle, because Annabelle's a good movie, but it's not my favorite. I feel like it's too much like Rosemary's Baby, with where they're living, and I know they took a lot from Rosemary's Baby, and I feel it too much, so I'm not too into that movie. I can watch it and enjoy it, but it's not one of my favorite scary movies. And I'm sure I'll like that new one, The Nun, the one that focuses on Valak from The Conjuring. But yeah, Conjuring movies, I remember, so good. And then the next I have Insidious, and I'm sure everyone has seen Insidious. Those movies, I was close to not even including the third one, because that one was just its own thing. But the first two, and the way the second one intertwined with the first one, when they go into like the further, and it shows how he was one banging on the door, and just so good. They did such a James Wan he's a genius with horror movies. Cause I'm not a big fan of Saw, but Dead Silence, that should be on this list. Dead Silence is a really good movie. That's a really good movie. I'll just throw this in here. It was gonna be 15, but I'll just pretend that one wasn't on there. So when I label this video, it's gonna be 15. But Insidious 1 and 2 are really good. 3 is good, but I've probably seen it twice, and I've seen the first Insidious like 20 times, because it was just so good, and it had such the first time I watched it, it stuck with me. It was just such a good movie. And the next I have, I don't know if that many people have seen these, The Last Exorcism 1 and 2. The first one was like a found footage style, but the second one was also kind of like found footage, but it doesn't really make sense how it was. They were just going off of how the first one was made, because when the first one, there was actually a camera crew, and the camera guy had the camera, and he died. They all die, and then someone finds the camera. Found footage. Second one, it has the kind of the same shooting style sometimes, but this one is more like a movie, where it's just following Nell from the first one, through her life now as a survivor from getting that baby taken out of her, surviving that cult and all that. Just those movies are, if you haven't seen The Last Exorcism 1 or 2, I could highly recommend that one. The first one especially, it was awesome. Second one's good. First one's way better though, but both of them are pretty good. Next I have Jeepers Creepers 1 and 2. Without a doubt, the first one's my favorite, and I cannot wait for the third one that they've been putting off and putting off and putting off and putting off. I would love to see a third one, especially with the story that we've heard so far, how it's going to be the sister, and she has a son 21 years later. However, I think it's 27 years or 23 years. And she has a son, names him Derry after her brother, and then her son, and then the 2 farmer guys are still alive, and they're with her hunting the creeper. And I would love to see that. The first one is one of my favorite movies. Probably top 10. All movies, not just horror. I love that movie. And then on to the next one. I have The Grave Encounters 1 and 2. That's also how I love how they incorporate the first movie into the second movie. Vice versa. I love when movies do that, especially with that one, because with Insidious, that one they do it within the movie and stuff. But with Grave Encounters, we're supposed to think that the first one was a real movie, which I liked. Like it was a real found footage type deal. They've actually found it and edited it together. Of course not. And then the second one, a guy is obsessed with that movie and somehow finds the place that they filmed it. I'm sure you guys have seen it, but I love those movies. If you haven't, I don't want to spoil it. Go watch them. Grave Encounters 1 and 2. They're not really on anywhere. Probably have to buy it, or you can stream it on a site. But I recommend just trying to get them on like Amazon or something. I got the first one for like $5 and the second one for like $10. But I love those movies. And then next I have Paranormal Activity. I remember watching the first one when it first came out. It was so scary. Because you think, I was young. I think I was like 12 or 13. You think it's real. Like I thought it was real. Me and everyone, I watched it with my sister, my friend, and his sister. We all believed it was real, knowing it was fake because it's a movie. But just watching it feels so real. And I think the second one was good. Third one was also good. Fourth one, it was decent. Fifth one, it's probably one of my favorite ones. That's the one with like the Hispanic kid who's like a soldier and he lives in the apartment. I love that one. I watched that one like 15 times when it came out. And then the last one was the worst. Trash. Built up all of that to that. Like that's what just this. I don't even want to talk about it. If you can watch all 5 except for that one. But if you want to, you can. Man, that was such a letdown at the end of that movie. Even the whole movie was just a letdown, just the way they did it. Where he was like the energy. Anyway, yeah, on to the next one. All right. A lot of people, The Thing, I consider it a horror. It's also a thriller, but it's a horror. The first one was, I know it got a lot of hate when it first came out, but now it's a staple in practical effects and horror. But a lot of people don't like the remake or the reboot, the prequel, you would say. I really enjoyed that one. I love the way it tied in towards the end, and like how the guy that morphs together with the other guy and burns outside, and that's how we find him in the first one. I love the way that they tied it together. I'm a big fan of tying movies together. That you would think would be hard because they're like 40 years apart from each other, but I thought they did a perfect job, especially at the end with the wolf running through the snow and the guy in the helicopter being one of the survivors, and showing how he ended up being a survivor. I really enjoyed. A lot of people don't like the second one, but I actually really enjoyed that one. Yeah, I hope I love those movies. It took me a while to watch the first one. I don't know why, but when I did, I watched it on DVD. I had to order the Blu-ray. I had to. And next I have Mama. Mama. I remember the first time watching this movie. Guillermo del Toro comes through with the monster makeup, with the monster CGI on Mama. She was so creepy to me. Just her body, the way she has her long limbs, and the story behind it, and just nothing I can really even say about it. You just have to watch the movie if you haven't, and if you have, you know what I'm talking about. It's just a really good looking movie. The story's good. Mama's creepy as shit. Just everything. It's one of my favorite movies. Probably top 20. I don't want to say it's in my top 10, but top 20 maybe. Next, As Above, So Below. This movie got so much shit for when it came out. I love this movie. I love As Above, So Below. The story behind it, with having to do with the Philosopher's Stone or the Sorcerer's Stone from Harry Potter. Nicholas Flamel and finding eternal life. Not so much. Yeah, the story is good. I don't know. It's just something about the movie, like maybe the found footage aspect of it, down in the catacombs, and I don't know. A lot of people I've watched it with don't like it, but I really fell in love with that movie. It was good. It stuck with me. I watched it in theaters twice, and still one of my favorite movies. They didn't come out too long ago, but it's in my top 20 for sure. For sure. Horror, probably top 5. Maybe top 10. I don't want to go that. And then after As Above, So Below, I have The Possession of Michael King. I'm a big fan of possession and ghost movies, like The Possession of Emily Rose, or The Exorcism of Emily Rose. A lot of them do The Exorcism of blah blah blah, or but this one did The Possession, about a guy whose wife dies, and he tries his hardest to prove that there's no real faith or life after death or anything, just to show that there's nothing to really believe in, and he ends up getting possessed. And it was just such an intense movie. A lot of people probably haven't even seen it. It was a low budget, but I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the plot, how he was going out of his way to get possessed, and all the stuff he did, and everything that happened to him. I love that movie. Yeah, I need to get it on Blu-ray. I have it on DVD, but still a really good movie. Next, I have Sinister, which I don't know if they can make another one. I hope they do, because Ethan Hawke in that movie was awesome. I love Sinister. Nothing really to even say about it, because if you've seen it, it's good. And if you haven't, I don't want to really spoil it. It's a guy. He takes old cases that were unsolved, or he thinks were solved wrong, and tries to disprove it or to solve them himself. And he ends up moving into a house where there was a bunch of murderers, and a bunch of shit happens. And that's all I'll say. Great movie. A newer movie I have on this list is Lights Out. If you've seen the short film that they put out, it was like 2 minutes long, turning into this hour and a half movie, and having it be so good, it was awesome. I love that movie. It's such a simple concept, but it was so good. They worked it. I watch it every once in a while. I love when someone comes over and they've never seen it. I love to put that one on, along with Don't Breathe. But Don't Breathe is a thriller to me, so that'll be on the thriller list for sure. But Lights Out, great movie. Next, I have It Follows. This is the one I was talking about with the cinematography and the soundtrack. The cinematography on this movie was... I remember watching it in theaters, and the soundtrack. My wife hates this movie. Hates it. I don't know why, but she hates it. I love it. Again, there's nothing you can really... It's a really simple concept. It's pretty much just an STD but you have to pass it on, and if you don't pass it on, it kills you, and then if it kills you, it just goes back down, so you just have to keep having sex with people. It's just an STD that is a person, which is awesome. Such a simple concept, but they blew it up into this huge movie that was awesome. Hopefully they make another one, because I know they could. Even though the way the movie ended, I know they could keep going. There's so many ways it could still be alive, and they could expand it. I'm not saying Paranormal Activity it, do 7 of them, but maybe 1 or 2 more, maybe 1 more. That'd be awesome. I'd really enjoy that. Okay, this second to last one, The Haunting in Connecticut, is probably in my top 5. Maybe, I don't want to say it's my favorite scary movie. I remember when I first watched it, I would make my dad rent it for me from Blockbuster or Hollywood Video every time we went. Every time I would just re-rent it, and I would watch it like 3 times. I have no idea why. It was just such a good movie, and it was so scary. I love that movie. If you don't watch the second one, don't watch the second one's awful. They completely ruined it. The first one is just such a good movie, and a lot of people haven't watched it because it was a while ago, and I think it flopped in the box office. But I love that movie. I'm gonna wrap this up. I have one more, and I have The Descent on here. This is my last one. So that's 15 movies, 16 plus the other one I said, I forget. But The Descent, really good, low budget monster movie. But it all has women. All these strong women go cave diving to celebrate something or to just go on vacation, and they get trapped down there and end up getting attacked and murdered by all these like vampire, like albino creatures down there in the caves. Also a simple story, simple concept, and it was awesome. Absolutely awesome. Just the monsters and just the blood and the gore and the killings and the story, how it ended and how it set up for the sequel, which I didn't really like. But yeah, so those are my 16 favorite scary movies. I'm not gonna do any cuts again. I might cut out the beginning, but I'll see you guys next time. As always, peace.